believe in magic. Ghosts, demons, just power.
Somebody please take me.
We gonna kill every last one of you.
We interrupt this program to bring you...
All right, everybody, my name is Kevin.
And my name's John.
And we are the Real Movie Guys, and welcome back to another episode of The Real Review, the series where we review and discuss all your favorite movies. On today's episode, we're taking a look at Sinners. Trying to leave their troubled lives behind, twin brothers return to their hometown to start again, only to discover that even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. John, very few movies can surprise me when I watch them. Sinners, to be honest with you, I only saw a few trailers about it, heard it was amazing, and kind of forgot about it until it came out recently on HBO Max. And
yeah, where I also watched it.
And honestly, man, I really wish I saw this in theaters, because Sinners, I have to tell you, as far as 2025 is concerned, would have to be up there. If we're doing a little early, no, it's probably one of my movies of the year. Sinners is an amazing movie that will blow away your expectations if you have no idea what's going to happen. Even if you know what's going to happen, you don't know what's going to happen. This movie really does a great job starting as one thing, turning into something completely different by the end, but still feeling like the same movie, feeling unified in its direction, its artistic direction, its acting, everything.
The themes carry through, right?
Cinematography, everything, the music, the culture that's in this movie, everything that they decided to do, it feels like a near perfect movie, my friend. I really, really had a great time with this movie. It's an achievement.
It is, and I did as well. And I think it's rare that a movie that ends up somewhere so different from where it begins can be so engrossing, even just in laying the foundation of who are these characters, what world do they live in, before the stakes are raised at all. The first maybe like 40 minutes or something of this movie is like a period piece about life in the South as a black person in the, what year would this have been? 30s?
Yeah, around the
something
30s,
like that. And I was watching it with Holly, my fiance, and she was not interested in seeing this movie, but before anything out of the ordinary happened, she was hooked. She was like, this is a good movie. The dialogue is good. It's a little bit raunchier than I thought it was going to be, but very funny, right?
Yes.
And just enjoyable to watch. Like, it was a very fun movie, and then it got crazy. And I can appreciate that they were able to execute so well on just the normal life part of it, and then show you the kind of crazy turn.
Yeah, and again, I just think everything works together perfectly in unison for this movie. It's one of the rare times, like you said, I actually did care about the main characters in this movie. And it's a dual role, which I'm not going to take anything away from it. Dual roles are very, very hard to pull off, I think. Michael B. Jordan, if you want to say he hogs the spotlight a little bit, he does sometimes in his movies. He's definitely known for that, and I think he does a little here. But he plays Smoke and Stack, who are twin brothers, and they feel like two very different characters as you're watching this movie. And at times, there was this one trick early on in the movie where they're standing next to each other, and there was no CGI used in that scene. And they, I think they flip like a coin or something between the two of them, or they're like lighting their lighters at the same time. I don't know how they did that, to be honest with you. I was trying to watch the behind the scenes, and they went into it, and it was like a lot of camera work, a lot of different camera tricks, and it's crazy to see they were able to achieve that. You know what I mean? I really think that's a spectacle in and of itself. But Michael B. Jordan just really brings a gravitas to these characters that you're invested, like you said, before the shit goes down. Like, whatever this story just happened to be a 30s piece about Mississippi shenanigans going on, about stealing from stealing liquor from a bunch of different mob bosses, and you know the KKK being involved, and all those things you expect to happen in the 30s in Mississippi. It's a compelling drama right through that 40 minutes, even maybe 50 minutes. I want to say it's a long time, and
it's a long time,
and it is slow to a degree, but not a bad slow. This is what we call people who can't pay attention, and I'm going to be mean about it a little bit because I always hear that, oh, it's so slow and boring. It's a slow burn. We're building, right? We're building to this. So when you get to that payoff where the shit hits the fan in this movie, it's that much more interesting and entertaining. And this movie really does capture that. It really did for me.
And I don't know if you want to get into when, you know, things start to go wild.
We will.
And
yeah.
Sure. You know, one of the first things actually that kind of happens before the menace is shown is sort of like a musical experience that everyone is having at this juke joint, at this party that they're at, where you have like musicians throughout time appearing until it's like a mix of people across centuries partying in this barn.
Right.
And it's like, this is so fantastical. But what a great illustration of like passing down culture, of the way music, you know, has influenced us across generations and all these things.
Yeah, the tributes it pays to African-American music, you know, but every generation, spanning every nation, every generation. It's really just a sight to behold. And the camera, it pretty much is a continuous shot. Obviously, there's some fake cuts here and there. They had to. There's no way, but you know, fool the phony there. It's hard to spot some of those cuts, and the fact that all this was done in scene too. They burned down this building that they're in. There, when I looked at one of the documentaries for this movie, that was the last shot of the movie. They actually burned the barn down around them as they were filming the scene, and that's crazy. They literally performed and had this big homage to music and culture, and they burned the place down. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. Not gonna lie.
I think a lesser movie, if you were showing me these things that are so out of the ordinary, I would not, if I wasn't so bought in, it would seem silly.
Right.
But watching it happen, it's like, this is very interesting. Like, you're so invested in the movie already that instead of kind of making you laugh at it, you're like, okay, this is cool. Where is he going with this? Because you're already so invested. At least I was.
No, I was. And again, I think that the happiness, like the magic that it brought into this movie, it allowed for what happens next, I think, to happen a little bit more easier, because you had this very strong period piece drama throughout the whole beginning of the movie, learning about these two brothers and their stories. And not to mention, I really want to give a big shout out to Sammy Moore, who's played by Miles Catton. This is his first movie role, right? And he plays the cousin Sammy. And he was like the heart and soul a little bit of this movie. And he did a really great job. And, you know, I can't wait to see what else he does, because I think the only way he auditioned for this movie was playing his guitar. That's how he actually auditioned for this movie. So kudos to him, because he was definitely the heart and soul. And seeing through his eyes what's happening and what's going on around him, I think that's just, I don't know. It's hard to get so into, but it was a really magical experience, I think, really to enjoy. But like I said, the magic happening there allows for what ends up being a From Dusk Till Dawn vampire movie to happen by the end of this movie. And John, were you surprised by that big shift in tone when we get to it?
I liked it. Like I said, I was on board. And so when all of a sudden you had people getting attacked and blown away with shotguns and all this kind of stuff, it's like, yes, you built up to this. Like, you made me care about these characters. You showed me this amazing once-in-a-lifetime night they were having. I care. Like, I want to know what's going to happen to these people now.
Right, and it does that cool thing where I feel like everyone has, like, their own little different interpretation of vampire lore whenever you watch a movie. And this movie's no exception. They take the stand of you have to invite the vampires in, which becomes a big crucial point in this movie, that they have to be invited in. And they hint at a little bit earlier when there's someone out in the desert and he's trying to get into a house and he wants to get invited in. He keeps like saying, kind of implying, oh, I need to be invited in. Just let me in. Is it okay if I come in? Just tell me. I like how that's implied and how that becomes like a big plot device throughout the rest of the movie towards the end. And again, when we get into this From Dusk Till Dawn show off, is it a little insane? Is it a little batshit crazy? Yeah, it is. I didn't think we were going to be here, especially seeing like the old man who plays the piano suddenly, like, he's a drunken alcoholic. He's fighting a vampire trying to fend off everybody. I did not expect that. But he had this like really sad blues sob story, how he gets paid like, I get paid like $5 a day or something, like they're $5 a week. And he's like, you know, I didn't expect that, right? It's able to morph from one thing into another one, to something else, and do it successfully. And John, that's such an achievement to do. That's incredibly hard.
And I think, again, there are things that if you described them might sound kind of silly, but they're so unique. And in a movie that has totally got you to buy in already, that it's like, it's engrossing. Like, to have the vampires sort of crowd up outside of this barn that they've taken up in and sing at them, right?
Pretty much. That's intimidating.
Sounds,
Irish dance at them.
Dance at them. In a lesser movie, it would be silly. In this movie, it's like, oh man, this is cool. What's going to happen next?
Yeah, and it's an understanding of the visual, I think, too, along with the soundtrack. Like you said, the visual, like the vampires just have glowing red eyes constantly. Sometimes that's all you see of a vampire, and it's very naturally lit, I think a lot of the scenes are, so that adds to it as well. And they have like these little red eyes glowing, and the fact you have an Irish vampire, I think, is very interesting, too. That's not something you see very too often in media. I thought that was a cool idea, and I do how that's on purpose. Like everything in this movie, even like you said, even if it's silly or kind of ridiculous, it's all done with intention, and there's always like a little bit of a breadcrumb to get to a point to make it make sense. Like, for example, him being an Irish vampire, like, okay, well, what's the big deal about that? The fact that he pays with like gold, very old gold doubloons early on in the movie, and the fact later on when he's like giving his little monologue towards the end, he talks about how, like, you know, he was trying to be saved by religion and driven off his land and his island. You know, religion was what ultimately just tried to destroy him. It ties together with the other themes, John, and that's what's really strong, I think, in this movie. Not more so than anything else, are just some of these themes, especially the theme about, you know, the evils of religion, essentially, if you really just want to ground it to something basic here.
That does seem to be a theme, is questioning, you know, questioning what you're told, in specifically in reference to religion. And you know, there are people of many different religious backgrounds in this movie. There's also a character who's sort of like in the voodoo sort of realm, and it's just interesting to see how these people of different belief systems or lack of belief system are all interacting with each other. And you know, thinking about that, it's like, why is this movie called Sinners? Is it because they're having this big raucous party?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if you have a thought about that, but why is this movie called Sinners, if you had to guess?
It's tough. You know, I feel like there's a couple different interpretations you could see for that title. Like you said, they're all sinners in the eyes of their religion to some extent. I think that's definitely one. And maybe the point is to be a sinner and reject religion. That could be, because ultimately that feels like you should follow your own path and not follow the path set by others. I think is like one of the other main messages of this movie.
And
follow your way.
And that is what the main young character, the Smoking Stack's young cousin, does at the end. Is he kind of rejects everything and strikes out on his own.
Right, and he has a long, successful, happy life, and there's a great payoff at the. Make sure you stay for the credits. I almost stopped this movie at one point, and I'm so glad I did not. It was very rewarding and very exciting. This is one of those movies where I don't want to get too detail orientated, and I know that's tough, especially when you're here for a review. But it really is just one of those ones you just have to watch. You know, it really is.
Yeah.
It's action packed. There are a couple negatives, if you will. I'd like to talk about nothing crazy, but a few things I just kind of want to bring up. I do think Michael B. Jordan kind of steals the show a little bit too much for my taste, at least in this movie. Obviously, Smoke and Stack are the two main characters in the movie, and they're ultimately what becomes their conflict with each other by the end of the movie. It makes sense as to why. I do think Sammy's character should have had a little more to do with the finale at one point. I think, John, you know what I'm talking about as far as the climax. I would have liked a little bit more with that. again, I know why they didn't. And there's also a scene where, it's just kind of obvious where, Michael B. Jordan takes revenge and he has like this big shootout scene at the end of the movie. Don't know if I really needed that scene. I understand why it's there, and it's fine. It's supposed to like pump you up, and it's like revenge and getting, I don't know. There was a little too like Commando for me tonally. You know what I mean? I know this movie's already borrowing. To be fair, it is borrowing some stuff from Dusk Till Dawn and other movies of that era for sure. I just don't know if that scene was necessary. I felt like it was just another scene for Michael B. Jordan just to go, haha, this is my big action climax scene. And that scene, it was good. It was extremely well shot and a gore fest and an action fest, and his muscles looked ripped the whole time. When
he looked big,
looked big, but did I need that scene to necessarily happen that way, or Michael B. Jordan to give the send off in that scene? I don't think I really needed that, to be honest with you. I think they could have done something a little more special in a different way if they could have done that. You know what I mean? That's my one nitpick. Other nitpick, really, I don't like when they foreshadow the end in the beginning of a movie. I'm always going to bring it up every time it happens. Don't do that. Just don't do that. Just let me be completely surprised, because I already, something messed up's going to happen. What's going to happen by the end of the movie? I just don't like that choice. I know, again, this is a nitpick, so, feel free to be annoyed at me. But that bothers me. I don't know how you feel about that trope. It's never a favorite trope of mine, I guess.
So the movie sort of starts where it ends. It shows you and then does a flashback. That's the majority of the movie. I could have done without the flashbacks in that scene that explicitly show you. I think it's fine to start at the end point of the narrative and then cut back and get up to that point.
Let me tell you how I got here.
Yeah, exactly. Which it was. But yeah, they did kind of show you a bit more. It would have been more surprising to end up where you ended up without actually seeing what they showed you in those little flashbacks.
But again, I gotta stress to you, these are all very much so nitpicks, because the rest of this movie is absolutely gorgeous and absolutely perfect with everything it executes. Everything it's setting out to do, it does. And with all that being said, I don't want to drag on too much longer. Let's go ahead and put a number on this one, John. I'm gonna give Sinners a 9.7 out of 10. Again, John, this is probably, as of right now, I'd have to go back and look through all the movies I've watched, but for 2025, it's up there as one of my favorite movies of the year. I think it was brilliantly executed to near perfection for the most part. Mine is just a few things, and there was also some other things, I didn't go too much into, as far as, maybe it was a bit slow here and there, and there were a couple shots that maybe just didn't work for me perfectly like everything else in the movie, but overall, I gotta tell you, this is an experience. It is meant to be watched, especially how they had the shifting aspect ratio for this movie with the IMAX camera, because this was the only movie of the year filmed with the actual IMAX camera. So kudos to them. And those shots explode when you see them. If you have a big TV and you watch those shots, they really stand out. And but without just the visuals, the story I think is really fun. Again, it's a great period piece. It's a great vampire flick. I mean, what more do you want? We didn't get a Blade movie, but this is 1,000 times better than any kind of Blade movie I think we would have.
And just as an Easter egg, right? Wasn't this movie the costuming or something? Am I thinking of the right movie?
Yeah, apparently Disney Marvel handed over their costumes to the production team because they said they weren't sure what they were doing with Blade, and they gave them the costumes because I guess there was going to be like an old-timey period setup for the Blade movie.
Yeah, I thought that was this one. Yeah, interesting.
It's funny how things like that happen. The only other time I could think of that was District 9 was the only other time when they were making the Halo movie, and that kind of fell through, and they said, hey, we have all this Halo stuff. Do you want to use it in your or I think because Peter Jackson was attached to it. So he said, I'm going to use this in District 9. Is that okay? And they're like, oh, Neil Blomkamp, is that okay? He's like, yeah, okay, sure. And then you just see a bunch of like random Halo warthogs and guns in the background. But that'll be, again, this is a really great movie. You need to watch it. It's streaming on HBO Max. You don't have a reason not to watch it. John, what do you think, man?
Yes, so I also really enjoyed this movie. Out of a 10, I'm going to give it a 9.6. So right about where you're at with it. Very close. I think it's rare to get a good period movie. It's rare to get a good horror movie. It's rare to get a good action movie. It's even more rare to get all of those things together in one movie, right? And one of the things that I appreciate the most when I'm deciding how much I like a movie is when you show me something that I either haven't seen before or don't get to see regularly.
Right.
And I think that this movie, with its sort of eclectic mix of everything that it has going on in it, but also working and it feeling cohesive
Right.
is extremely rare. And for that reason, I just was very happy to finally watch it.
Yeah, I mean, again, the enduring characters that are in this movie. Michael B. Jordan, as much as I rag on him a little bit, he is an amazing actor, and he really does pull the dual role thing incredibly well. And these two brothers, their story was it was crazy good. It really is. And Ryan Coogler, I can't wait to see what else he does. I know he did Black Panther and some other things that maybe didn't, in my opinion, didn't showcase like the best of his skills. But if this is like one of the best of his skills, he's got an amazing career ahead of him, John. I really cannot wait to see, I want to see more of this. I think this is maybe more his wheelhouse. Anyone can make a Marvel movie. Go out there and make something crazy. Like, this is a passion project. Make something like this. This is the kind of stuff I want to see. And not just because it's horror. I know you people know I love horror, but it's not because it's horror, but because it is such a strong movie for, like John said, drama, action, horror. It fits all the different kind of feelings and emotions you're having. It's all flavors of ice cream right there for you.
Yeah.
Really enjoy it. But what I need to know in the comments below is, what did you think of Sinners? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Would you recommend it to a friend? I'm curious to see what you guys think. We rated it really high, but I want to know if there was maybe something we overlooked, maybe you didn't like. Not sure what that would be, but I'm curious to see what it is nonetheless. I know, it's so tactful, Kevin. So tactful. Yeah. I'm curious. I am curious. I always love discourse, good or bad. Don't just leave a little thumbs down. Just say what you didn't like about the movie. Let's have a little conversation. Let's throw some people together. Let's talk about it a little bit, because Sinners should be up there when award season comes around. If I don't see that name on any of those award lists, I have no faith.
I would be surprised.
I have no faith in the system anymore. I mean, I really lost a lot of it when they said they didn't watch Dune 2, but this is going to be even worse for me, as far as I'm concerned. Again, let me know what you guys think. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of The Real Review. My name's Kevin. That guy's John. We're your real movie guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. We'll see you in the next one.
If you guys like what you've seen here today, consider giving this video a like and leaving your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to stay up to date with everything Real Movie Guys related, make sure to hit that subscribe button and check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And don't forget, all you audio listeners at home, we are available on many podcasting platforms. Just search The Real Movie Guys, you should pop right up. Thank you again all so much for joining us on this episode of The Real Review. We are The Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. Catch you next time.